Hello everyone, it's Tori from Swimming in Sakura, and today I just wanted to show you guys how I am using this. And this is the weekly supplement from Hobonichi that is kind of meant to go with the Hobonichi planner. So it's just the weekly component in a separate little book that is actually, it's a little bit smaller than the A6. So let me show you that really quick. This is the A6. I'm not going to take it out of the cover, but you can just kind of see where that size hits. So it's a little bit smaller. It's kind of meant to fit into the cover or to go along with the Hobonichi so that you can get a weekly spread if that's something that you're looking for. One thing I wanted to note really quickly while I have this out is I have been storing this just like this with the back cover kind of slid into this pocket right here. So it just folds over like that. And I've just been storing it like that. So what I have noticed is that the green from the cover of the little booklet is kind of rubbed off. Well, not rubbed off because it's definitely still on there. You can't actually, I don't have any spots where I see that the green is particularly light, but it is transferring a bit onto the Hobonichi. This is just like that initial cardstock page. So just something to be aware of if that's something that bothers you. It doesn't bother me because, you know, it's not like I use that page for anything, and it's kind of like an extension of the cover for me. So if it gets a little bit dirty or banged up, it's not a huge deal to me. So just something to be aware of if you do choose to store it alongside in here. You of course can store it in the back pocket back here if you prefer that, and that way you wouldn't have to worry about this color transfer. So getting back to this is, like I said, the booklet. It's weekly. This one is this spring, so it goes from April of 2016 until March of 2017. I do believe that they had one that started with a January start. So if you open it up, and I just wanted to mention that I think the Sassy Pineapple and Vegan Organizer both have reviews of this booklet, and I will link those below because those are great. Definitely check those out. So it just starts with a cardstock page, just like the Hobonichi does, and then you have your year at a glance, and it only shows you the year that is in this booklet. So it starts in April of 2016, ends in March of 2017, like I mentioned. And then you just jump into weekly spreads. And let me just jump to one that's blank. So that's it. Very straightforward. You don't really get anything else. I think there's like maybe 2 pages of grid paper in the back. Yeah, 2 extra pages, but that's it. There's nothing else in here. No monthly, anything like that. It is just, like I said, a supplement. So just your weekly layout. So what you get is, I think this is similar to the Hobonichi Cousin. I don't have a Hobonichi Cousin, so I can't say for sure, but I believe it's a fairly similar format to that. It's obviously a vertical weekly spread, week on 2 pages, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday here, and then the rest of the week over here. You've got some space on the side, space down below. You have your month at a glance as well as the week circled that you're in. You've got 4 check boxes down here as well as more space. You've got a 24-hour timeline. It is marked from 6 until 3, 6 a.m. till 3 a.m. and there's space to extend that to make it an entire 24 hours. Up here you've got 2 check boxes with the space in between. The days are in Japanese, so you just get the kanji for the days of the week. You don't have any English, but you do have here, if I can get that to focus, maybe not, but it is, the month is in English and it does tell you what week you're on. So this is October 41st week. So that's the basics of it. I got this a little bit into a little bit after it started. So I've just been using these first few pages for notes. So that's that. And so what I am using this for is my work planning. And just my work planning, nothing else goes in here but work. And work doesn't go anywhere else. So this is a very small planner, I realize, to use for work, but I don't need to do a lot of planning for work at my current job, which is finishing up. So I think that's part of it too, maybe why this is working. But I don't do a lot of planning. I don't need to do a lot of planning. I do have like some lesson planning that I create, but most of that is either on the computer or I have a notebook that I've been using for the duration of this job. And while I've been at it, and I've got like 2 pages left in that notebook, which is probably enough to last me until I finish at the end of this month. So I'm just kind of using that up for any additional notes if I don't have enough space in this. So because I had those extra pages, I was just kind of fiddling around and seeing how I wanted to set this up. And so I have a little outline of how I am doing things. So I'm going to show you this first, and then I'll show you how it actually works for me. So with the space on the side here, on the left side, I just put my weekly to-do. So I just list them down, check them off as I go, or fill in the boxes is what I do. So do that. This note space down here, right here I have washi. I don't have a designated use for this. I just kind of have been using it for notes as I need it. So nothing fancy going on there. I don't actually washi in here anymore. I was just wanting to use my new Hello Kitty MT tape, which I actually got from Hobonichi as well. Down here with the 4 check boxes, I do weekly goals. So just anything that I really want to accomplish throughout the week, I put here. And then for the kind of core of my planning system, I do a little timeline, and I do that with the green Hobonichi stencil, and that's this right here. So I just use this timeline section here, you can see that, to create my timeline. So from when I start to when I finish. My work schedule stays consistent every week. It does not change. Very rarely does it change, but I still just like to kind of mark off when I'm working. And then here I just put a dot for anything that I'm going to, anything that I'm doing in particular as far as like going to classes, any appointments I might have, or any meetings I might have for work. I'll put those in here. And then down below, I also use the same stencil. So I use a triangle for any after work appointments. So like doctor's appointments, or if I have classes that I have after work hours, I just put a little triangle. I don't even write what it is because this is just a work planner, but I do just create this symbol, and that is just to let me know that I have something happening after work. So if I were to stay late or something like that, I know that I have this thing that I need to get to at a certain time, so I need to leave in time to get to that. Similarly, I just draw a little heart if I have after work plans that are social. So if I have like a dinner, or I'm going shopping with a friend or something like that, I will put a heart. And I have just differentiated them because for social plans, if I do stay late and I need to stay later or something, I have a little bit more flexibility and move those around. Whereas if it's a class that I could potentially be missing, that is obviously not going to be as flexible. So I either need to leave work or, call and tell them that I'm not going to make it or something. So that's just why I've differentiated them. And again, I just use the symbols. I don't actually write out what the appointment is. So that's kind of that like planning of the day. And then up here, I've just marked off just right below the check boxes up top and at the 6 a.m. mark, because I'm never going to work before 6 a.m. I'm probably not even going to work before 7 a.m. or 8 a.m. But I've just marked that space off up here for any reminders. And for reminders for me is just like anything I might need to bring to work that day that I might otherwise forget. I will put that up there. And then, like I said, I've kind of been using this space for notes. I've also done a little bit of like note taking over here because I don't use Saturday and Sunday because I don't work Saturday and Sunday. I just work Monday through Friday. I guess occasionally I have had to work a Saturday, but I don't have that before this job comes to its conclusion. So that's how I use my extra space, and you know, if I need to add anything else into this. And then, so down here, again, I've kind of marked off, I just drew in a line, also using the stencil, at the midnight hour, because again, I'm not going to work after midnight. I'm probably not going to be doing much of anything after midnight. And I've marked this space off, so the kind of the rest of the timeline space, for work-related gratitude. And I actually got that idea from Vegan Organizer. She mentioned doing that, I believe, in one of her work planner setup videos, and I thought that that was a really great idea. And I'd never thought about doing that. I do gratitude kind of in my just personal life, but rarely do I ever do it with any relation to work. And so I thought that was really cool to think about, you know, what are you grateful for with your job and related to work. So I wanted to incorporate that into my planning system as well. And then kind of that spurred an additional idea of doing a high and a low. So for me, a high and a low, that's something that I've done at jobs before, and that's just what was the best part of the day and what was the worst part of the day. And I think that can be kind of nice to look back on and think about every day, like what was the best thing that happened, what was the worst thing. Because, you know, a lot of times I found, like, even if I didn't have a particularly wonderful day, like when I actually have to think about, like, well, what was the worst thing, I don't really have much that I can come up with. Of course, I've also had days when it's hard to come up with the high, like what was the best thing? I don't know. It was kind of like a whatever day. I didn't really have anything that was particularly great that stood out. So, but it's just kind of nice for, I think this is just kind of me trying to do a little bit more memory keeping. So that's been nice to have that. I like doing that every day. So that is the kind of core outline of my system, and here's how I use it. This was the first week that I was using this, so I was still kind of messing around with what I wanted to do. You see, like, I was like, oh, work-related gratitude, great idea. I was thinking of sticking it up here, but then when I thought of my high-low idea, I thought since there's 2 check boxes here, that was kind of perfect for that. Again, I thought maybe work goals, but then I thought to-do list would be better here because there's more space, and then this 4 checkbox space seemed to make sense for goals. And again, the symbols, only using symbols. I did put like a little, this is a teacup, or it's a cup, it's a little mug, but I just did that because that is my tea ceremony class that I have to get to. So I did do a little bit of that. This is my calligraphy class, but they didn't have like a pen stencil or anything, so I just used a book. But so that's it. It's just symbols, just reminders for me. It's not, you know, to actually do any kind of planning about that or anything. And then, yeah, so I just fill in, you know, what classes I went to that day and like the corresponding times of those classes. I've also been doing like just tracking what the weather was when I went to school. I teach, so that's what I mean by go to school. That is work for me. So, and I've also just been tracking like how I've gotten to school. I walk or I bike to school currently. I don't have a car here in Japan, so not for any particular reason am I doing this other than it's kind of a nice way to start. Like I do this like right when I get into work. I just, you know, do my little symbols, and I use the blue Hobonichi stencil for those. So if you can see, it's got the weather here, and then it's got like some exercise kind of and transportation stencils as well. So I just use those. And it's just kind of like a fun extra that I do, not for any particular reason. I did have a work event on a Saturday here, so yeah, like I said, mark that off. The goals I've been really inconsistent with using. I don't know, I think as I'm wrapping up, it's just kind of hard to have I don't have a ton of stuff that I still need to do. So that is basically it. Yeah, just more of the same classes I went to, marked off the timeline, how I got there, what the weather was like, things I have after work, doing my gratitude down here. Looks like I forgot to do it last Friday, which happens because as you see, my Fridays are much shorter. Just, yeah, any little notes down here. I've also done like, you know, kind of countdowns over here. And more notes here. They're just in pencil, so they're harder to see. But that is really it. That brings us to our current week. Yeah, more notes. And so, yeah, it's working out really well for me. I'm actually really liking this system. I really was uncertain about it the first couple days I was trying it out. But as I started using it more, I found that I was really liking it. And I think part of it for me was just like I was just carrying, or I do just kind of carry this by itself, and this is not a very exciting book for me. I'm not, I mean, the colors are fine. I don't dislike them, but I'm not exactly, like I said, excited about them either. So I think that's just part of the problem. But for the remainder of my time at work here, that's definitely how I'm going to keep planning. And I'm hoping to kind of translate a lot of those things over into my next job as well. I don't think that I'll be able to stick with this size of a planner for work in my next job, because I know I'm going to need to be tracking a lot more things and taking more notes and things like that. But I thought for now it's working out really well. So I'm currently trying to figure out how I might want to use this after I'm done with this job. But that's just one idea. So maybe, you know, I hope this maybe is helpful for someone else if maybe you pick this up and want to find a use for it, or, you know, just kind of a simplified way to do some work planning and tracking as well. So anyways, thank you guys so much for watching as always, and I will see you guys again soon. Bye.